In this video, I get to bring you a wonderful DIY sprinter that Katie and Heidi built themselves on nights and weekends. This van features barnwood walls, a long bench seat with a Lagun table mount, a great kitchen with a 2-burner stove and a deep sink, a large fridge, a platform bed, and a garage full of fishing gear. And before we dive in, I just want to invite all the women watching to join our Nomadic Women's virtual happy hour on Thursdays at 5 p.m. Pacific. You can find the link in our Facebook group, Gal Adventurers. Also, if you like this video, it really helps others find it if you hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications.
We are Katie and Heidi, and us and our 3 dogs are the Sunride Tribe. We live full-time in our 2013 Mercedes Sprinter that we converted ourselves. We bought it in 2019, and we're working full-time jobs and converted it after work and on the weekends. Yeah, so come on and check it out.
Nothing too exciting up front here. We just installed this swivel seat here in the passenger seat so we could have some extra room. We really like it because if somebody's cooking or doing something over here, the other person can be over here and be completely out of the way, so that's been really nice. And we also built this overhead shelf to go in, so this is actually a Vancilary overhead shelf kit. We basically hold all of our toiletries, our games, pretty much any extra items that are small that need to go somewhere go up here.
And then we just decided to attach like a little shoe holder to it so we can have all of our shoes kind of out of the way. It works really nice, and we've also started to stuff other little things into it. You know how it goes.
So we did a Lagun table mount for our table. This is an extra leftover butcher block that we had for our countertop that we cut off. It can swivel around. We eat dinner and play games on it, and if she needs extra room for cooking, we can swivel it out like this because Katie is our resident chef, not me. And yeah, it's worked pretty well. It locks into place. When we first started out in the van, we would actually remove the top because we were afraid it was too heavy and store it behind the seat. But the locking mechanism on it works so well that now we just tuck it back in the corner when we're driving and lock it in, and we haven't had any problems with it. So we built this bench. It's really mostly just storage. We have our diesel heater is placed inside of here. We have a Planar D44 heater, which is the bigger model that they make. It's probably a little bit of overkill for this van, but it works really well. I don't know how we survived
without it.
We didn't install it actually until January of this year. We actually finished installing it at Schoolie-Palooza, so it's been a game changer for us. The bench is just built out of plywood and 2x2s, and then we had some leftover plywood and just made the tops. So all of these are removable. And then we just have a little piece of wood that we rotated there to be able to hold the top open if we're digging in there for something. And we keep our pet toilet and extra dog stuff in there, clothes. I mean, you name it, it's all pretty much stored in these benches. And then these are just some 2-inch foam that we cut down. And we had some different covers on them that we made out of blankets that didn't work very well. They didn't last for very long. So we found a gentleman in the small town that we lived in who would do custom upholstery, and we just had him put these on. And we had them put on zippers so we can take them off and wash them. And they've held up really well. So
we wanted to have a map where we could scratch off the places we've been in the van. So I found this. It's a landmass map, and they have it for the U.S. and for the whole world. And you just, once you go, you can scratch off both the state and their flag.
So we have 3 dogs, and we were trying to figure out a way to keep them confined in the van. So I actually bought this bungee net to try to rig up a way to put it in front of the door to keep them in. It didn't really work out, so I had it left over, and we like to read, and we have a lot of reference books for different things that we're doing. And so I thought, well, I already have it, why not put it here? This seems to be a great space for it, and it's worked out pretty well so far. Sometimes the books kind of fall over like this, but we can just readjust them and they'll eventually go back to where they need to be and not in too much of the way. But it's worked out really well for us. So
yeah, it's a great space to like store that you don't use to have more storage. So
Absolutely.
Key in a van.
yeah. For our insulation, we went with Havelock wool. I did a lot of research on it. At least in the walls, it has Havelock wool. We did it because it's hypoallergenic, it's pretty fireproof, it's not gonna mildew or anything in there. It's expensive and it's kind of a pain, or at least it was for us to install. I know a lot of people kind of do like a tying thing into all the crevices to hold it in and all of that kind of stuff. We didn't do that. But it's held up pretty well. You can see in some of the cracks where the wood isn't meeting perfectly that it has not settled. So I know that that's a question that we get asked a lot, is has it settled in the walls? And as far as we have seen, it has not. I've had to take some of these panels off to run more electrical behind the wall and such, and it looks like it's holding up in there pretty well. I'm not sure we would do it again, just because it is so expensive, and it's, you know, there's always the great debate about insulation in a van and whether you should insulate it or not and what kind of insulation you should use. And so just for that reason, I don't know that we would invest that kind of money in the insulation again. As for the ceiling is insulated with just the Artec foam panels that we cut down, and the reason we did that is because the previous owners had already insulated half of the ceiling with it, so we just went ahead and carried it through the rest of the van, and that seems to, you know, work just as well as the walls do. I don't know, the jury's still out, but that's what it is. As for the walls, we did the barnwood style walls. We didn't want to have an all completely white van. We wanted it to be kind of homey and a little cabiny and just something different that you don't see everywhere else. So we love it. The barnwood walls are actually my favorite feature in the van. They were, you know, a little tedious to put up because they are just individual planks. So it was a lot of measuring and cutting and lots of screws going into it. But to me, I think it was worth it because I love the look of it. It's something that you don't see very often in the vans, and it's great. Yeah. We did furring strips, which was also kind of a nightmare. We did 1 inch by 3 inch furring strips all throughout the van to attach the cabinets, attach the walls and everything. And it was a little bit of a process to get those in. For each furring strip, we had to measure and cut exactly where they were going to go on the ribs of the van, and then we had to drill out a hole before being able to put the metal screws in so that the heads of the screws were flat. So that took a little bit of time to be able to get all those in.
But everything's been holding up really well. So, you know, some things you got to really take time in to make sure that nothing's falling off when you're going down a road. So
yeah, we haven't had any problems. Nothing's rattled off or come unattached from the walls unless we have removed it for whatever reason. The ceiling is also attached by furring strips that we put onto the ribs of the ceiling. It's just like a pine tongue and groove that we bought. We wanted a white ceiling because the walls are so dark. We didn't want it to feel completely like a cave in here. The tongue and groove was kind of a nightmare to put together and install. Yep. would not recommend unless you have maybe a professional helping you that's done it before. We had a lot of warped boards. We had boards that were very difficult to fit together into the tongue and groove. So it took us, I think, a little bit longer than we had anticipated. But again, with the furring strips, we haven't had any issues with it.
Nope.
We went through and put kind of sanded the screws down and then
Wood
put wood filler over the screw heads, so we could make it as smooth as possible and you wouldn't see the screws. And then we just have these LED lights that I think almost everyone has in their in their van, installed through the ceiling, and we have it in 2 zones so that if we want to just turn the front on, we can, and if we want to just turn the back on, we can, and vice versa. So that was a feature that we wanted to have to try to not waste a lot of electricity, or if, you know, one person was awake and the other person was still asleep, they could still have light up here and not bother the person in the back.
So the kitchen was an important aspect in the van build for me. Coming from a house, I like to make big elaborate meals. And so we really wanted to put some emphasis on it. So that's where we went with the butcher block countertop. And we got with the Ramblewood 2-burner stove and a nice deep sink. So we could cook big meals. We've actually really downsized. That's the only pan we have. And we've simplified meals. But we really wanted it to feel homey. And that's why we did the backsplash out of tile. And have this open cabinet and kind of match the blue all the way down. And then one of the best finds we had were just these little mesh bags that we put our fruits and vegetables in. And then we built the upper cabinet out of some old crates that we had, and we just repurposed them. And that's what we did for all of our overhead. We just found some sort of way to block off items from falling out, and stained them all and just put them in. So there's a little gap up here. It doesn't really match, but we stick dog toys and maps and things up there, and it works really well for us. Mm-hmm. And we do have a little spice rack with magnets that we made, and that holds up really well down bumpy roads. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the kitchen. We do have a drawer down here, which is like our pantry, and then our fridge is right below that. So the pantry, Heidi actually had in another rig that she used for just weekends. So we just took it out of there, put it on drawer sliders, and put it in. And then we just used a spare piece of one of our walls that we cut down, and just a little locking mechanism. And it is quite full right now, so you're going to get everything. And that's all of our dry goods that we use. And then we got a Dometic CXF 55. So it's quite a large fridge. Probably more than we need. What I've learned is if you get a big fridge, you'll fill it. If you get a small fridge, you'll fill it. So it doesn't, you know, we don't need this big of a fridge, but it's also on a slide out. And we really love it because you got all your goods in each, and so it's got a little locking mechanism, and then it just pulls right out. Okay. So we have a 30-gallon tank in the back that we use for drinking and cooking. We have a foot pump that we use so we can save on water. And then to do our dishes, we actually use a spray bottle, which has helped us save a ton of water. We have another 4 gallons that we have specifically saved for the dogs that's underneath the sink. So they're not tapping into ours. And then an emergency 2 gallons on the back in a roto pack. Yeah. So we have 3 dogs. In order of age is Buzz. He was chilling here. He has a muzzle on because sometimes he gets a little scared with all the sounds around and can nip. But so we're just trying to prevent that. Sumo. Sumo's in the back sleeping. And then our youngest, Toaster. They are all rescues. And yeah, we absolutely love them. They are loving the van life. They love meeting new dogs and having lots of open space to run. and Sumo really loves standing by the river when we're fishing because we're avid fishers. And so they just all really, enjoy being out and about. So we have a fixed bed. It's a little smaller than a king that we cut down. And we just put it on some L brackets along the furring strips on the walls, and then did some 2x8s essentially across, and then spaced those out to put the mattress on. We knew a fixed bed was something we wanted to do because it just didn't seem for us likely to like make a bed every night and make a sofa area or seating area every day. And we've been really happy with it. We have enough space that we could sit up in it, and on the days that are kind of rainy and you're just hanging out inside. And on the back for each of us, we have a little light for reading that also has a USB plug, and then we have little cup holders, and then we kind of have that little 3-pouch holder for our phone or books or glasses and things of that needs. And it works really well for all of us because our dogs do sleep in our bed with us, so we needed that space. Yeah. So really that's kind of it. And we also have that little fan that's back there, so just for some extra circulation at night. We were gonna get 2, and I was like, I don't really need one. I'm usually fine, and I regret not getting 2 because it's got 3 speeds and timers, and you can maneuver it. And when you got a little breeze and the back door is open for the dogs, I mean, having that fan, they just absolutely love it. So if you're thinking about getting one, we would recommend it. Just get it. Maybe get 2 if you got a big van, because they're really great. I mean,
worth the cost.
It's worth the cost, yeah.
Okay, so we have a bug screen here. We pretty much keep it mounted on the back at all times. And then we also have one for the sliding door that we only use when we need to. These are just the Amazon magnetic screens that Velcro around. Super cheap on Amazon. They work really well. And we've only had to replace the one in the sliding door so far because we got a small rip in it, and then a dog went through the hole and then it created a very large hole, so it wasn't working anymore. But they're awesome for the money. You can't beat them. There's no reason to spend an outrageous amount of money on the custom ones when you can just get these. They're super easy to install. Love them.
I agree.
So we decided to get the pack out cases for tools have a nice little top that you can put on to adjust more. So we bought that individual top to just screw to the wall, and then 2 small pack outs. We keep extra fuses and screws and electrical tape, and we use it actually a lot, mostly to help other people on the road that don't have any tools. So we'd rather have it and not need it than, not have it and need it. So, and it doesn't take up too much space in the back, and that's kind of why we wanted to mount it to the wall, because there's just unused space. And so we wanted to tap into that.
Yeah.
Extra dog food and our leveling blocks. We have a medical kit that's right behind that. And then copious amounts of fishing gear. Mostly what you see back here is fishing gear. So we have fishing gear and some more fishing gear essentially, and then an extra food box, storage box that we have, and our little propane heater, and that's pretty much it. That's back here. DEF fluid because we have the Sprinter, and then our water tank and electrical systems back here as well. So we put them on either side on top of the wheels to balance the weight. And we have 3 100 amp Battleborn batteries and 2 100 watt solar panels that power. It's really more power than we need. So, yeah.
I want to thank Katie and Heidi for sharing their cozy van with us. I love how they created such a soothing space. If you liked this video, please share it. And if you'd like to see more van and rig tours, van life tips, and other information to help women get on the road, hit subscribe and ring that notification bell so you don't miss any upcoming videos. If you're a woman who would like to join in deeper conversation, join our Facebook group, Gal Adventurers, where I organize our weekly Nomadic Women's virtual happy hour every Thursday at 5 p.m. Pacific. This is Joni with the Galavan. Enjoy your journey.